So that's wrong. Instead, mistakes are a good opportunity to learn. What else can we try? Or let's try another way. But that's wrong. Well, yeah, the kid just goes, that's wrong. They're not going to try and fix it up. So can I encourage you that instead of saying to a child, that's wrong, say, oh, can you think of another way to do that? Because many of my children are perfectionists. And when you say something's wrong, they go to anxiety actually, and they can't problem solve another way. And this is where I love when children make mistakes, talking about it being an opportunity for learning. I also love talking to children about everybody makes mistakes, but also plan B. What else can we do? Talk to children this week. Just really try talking about plan B. Oh, you wanted to watch the TV, but your brother's watching it. What's our plan B? What else can we do? Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Sue Larkey podcast. As I always say, you have to embrace difference to make a difference. Let's dive into today's podcast. Welcome everybody, Sue Larkey here. I just wanted to do a big shout out to all of you who have subscribed or listened to this podcast. We've had over 50,000 downloads, which just blows my mind to think so many people are listening, engaging and making a difference to the kids they know. I particularly wanted to just thank the people who have left ratings and reviews on iTunes. This gorgeous one from Illy Ray, I'm not really sure of your actual name, but that's your tag. Years of experience packed into nice, tidy podcast. The advice in the podcast has helped me practically every day with the neurotypical kids in class. Thank you. Online course is brilliant too. I really appreciate that. And this one, Big Mum 1970. Thank you, Sue. Always a fantastic wealth of incredible ASD knowledge. An absolute delight to listen to. I love the concise way the information is delivered and look forward to hearing more. I particularly like this one because this is the main feedback I'm getting, how much the dads and male carers are loving the podcast. But this one's from Piano Teacher Oz. As a teacher and a mum of a 4-year-old being assessed for ASD, I found this podcast brilliant. I love how easy it is to listen to the strategies while driving and use them straight away at home or school. PD on the run. My husband, not a teacher, also loves them too, and Sue's strategy have really helped us at home. Would highly recommend. So guys, I guess what I'd love you to do is leave a review or rating if you want, but more importantly, can I encourage you to share this podcast with other people? If all of you just recommended it to one person, sharing is caring, but there's so many people, particularly dads who often feel quite isolated on this journey. And if we could just share with them, hey, listen to this podcast. It's up to them if they listen, but how lovely if they do start listening and just like that dad, come away and feel like they've got some strategies to try and use. And I know this sounds a bit crazy, but sometimes hearing it from me, not from the mums or carers listening, they're like, oh, Sue said we should do this, and it does make a difference. That's often what people say when they come along to my workshops, that just hearing it together as a couple makes a huge difference. So teachers, can you maybe let parents know this is a great podcast, a great way for them to learn new information? And again, then it's not coming from you, they're hearing it from me. So just a thought, the more people that we can help embrace difference to make a difference, then the happier I am. So just a big thank you to those people. And if you leave a review, I might shout out to you next time. So let's dive in deep. Today is one of my absolute just turning points and massive learning I had when working with children on the spectrum. It's about mind blindness. And look, when I was doing my master's, I heard about Simon Baron-Cohen and mind blindness, and I read a lot of the studies that they do, but I didn't really understand the practical nature of that and what it meant. So today is really to help you understand what mind blindness means and how that impacts on the kids you know. So I just want to say a few words to you, and I want you to think, what do you hear when I say that? What does this mean to you? If I said to you, no yelling, be quiet, what action would you take? If I said to you, what a mess, what action would you take? If I said, what are you doing? What would you react or say? If I said to you, no, what do you hear? So I could keep going down my list, but I've created a 1-page PDF on Your Words Matter. And to me, mind blindness is about me using words that actually help children understand. So instead of no yelling, being quiet, most of you would have known that meant use a softer voice. But many of the children I work with actually don't know what that means. In fact, they think be quiet means be silent. And then they don't participate in an activity because they thought they had to be quiet. And you said be silent in their mind. Or what a mess. It looks like you've had fun. How can we clean it up? What a mess. Most children are literal and they'll just look around and go, yeah, it is a big mess. They don't actually know you want them to action it. You see, you're just making a statement. You're not actually telling them what to do. And that is the key for children with autism spectrum. For those of you who have been to my workshops or done my online course, this is where I talk about I'm a GPS, about using directive language. So what are you doing? Well, most children on the spectrum, so if a kid's hitting someone else and you say, what are you doing? They'll go, I'm hitting Jack. What you meant is probably stop what you're doing or do something different. You know, what are you doing? Well, the kid's sitting there doing nothing. They'll just say nothing. Whereas what you probably meant, I'm here if you need some help. And I can't tell you how often I have that in secondary where the teacher's standing right next to the kid and the kid doesn't realise the teacher's standing there offering to help. They actually need to say, can I help you? You know, not what are you doing? Because what are you doing means the child will just give you a specific answer what they're doing or won't know what they're doing because they're just sitting there doing nothing. But the word no is a huge challenge for many of my children. When you say the word no, it often escalates inappropriate behaviours rather than reducing them. In fact, some children are very literal. So when an adult says something like no juice, some children will interpret that as never again for the rest of their life. So they'll have a meltdown or tantrum because they've just heard they can never have juice and they love juice. What you meant is it's all gone or later or I need to buy some more. You need to be really clear. The word no, they hear never again. So if you say, if you don't do your work, no iPad, the kid will smash the iPad because you just said they'll never allow it again. So can I ask you avoid the word no? It is such an important thing to understand with these kids. And it's like the word stop. Many children, when they hear the word stop, they don't know what to stop. Stop breathing, stop looking, stop talking. You know, it's more important to tell the child what they need to do. So stop working, pencils down, it's time to listen. Yes, have a think. Like when people tell a child stop hitting, then they start biting. Well, they stop hitting, but now they're biting. Oh, and then they stop biting and they start kicking. Well, you didn't tell them what to do. So instead of stop, no hitting or no biting or stop, actually tell the child what to do. It's like when kids are older and they run up and hug people and people go, stop hugging people. What they actually mean is you're 15 now, give people high fives or shake their hand. Tell the child what to do. So what mind blindness means is many children with autism spectrum are literal and they don't know the inferred intent of language. And this leads to difficulty understanding your perspective because you think you're clear, but to them you are not. So I highly recommend you download the 1-pager because you'll be surprised how many words confuse kids. And I'd love you if you're in a preschool or school to actually print that out in colour and put it on the back of the toilet door so that people really start to think about their words and see how they can say things differently. So, you know, for me, a classic one of that is when teachers say something like, stop crying. Well, it's better to say it's okay to cry. Take a deep breath and tell me what's wrong. Because actually it's okay to cry. But many of my children here stop crying and then they're like, they don't know what to do. What they need to do is take a deep breath and have a think. But the other one that I was just looking for, on the list is often where people say things like, I'm looking for the opportunity. Wouldn't you know? Oh, that's wrong. So that's wrong. Instead, mistakes are a good opportunity to learn. What else can we try? Or let's try another way. But that's wrong. Well, yeah, the kid just goes, that's wrong. They're not going to try and fix it up. So can I encourage you that instead of saying to a child, that's wrong, say, oh, can you think of another way to do that? Because many of my children are perfectionists. And when you say something's wrong, they go to anxiety actually, and they can't problem solve another way. And this is where I love when children make mistakes, talking about it being an opportunity for learning. I also love talking to children about everybody makes mistakes, but also plan B. What else can we do? Talk to children this week. Just really try talking about plan B. Oh, you wanted to watch the TV, but your brother's watching it. What's our plan B? What else can we do? You wanted chicken nuggets for dinner? We haven't got any left. What's my plan B? Talk about your plan Bs, because my guess is you have plan Bs all the time. You can't find the car keys? What else can you do? When a child goes out to play or their friend's away or they haven't got someone to play with, what's their plan B? Really talk through what's their plan B. What else can you do? Because most kids with autism spectrum have a one-track mind. They only have one idea what to do. So show flexibility in your thinking. And that's where your words matter can actually be an opportunity to notice that actually you've been so explicit they didn't know there's another option too. So give that a try. But the words that matter the most are things like, if you say to a child, would you like to sit down? Could you do your work? Can you run? So let me just say this to you again. Could you do your work? Some kids with ASD will go, yes, but I don't want to. Could, would, and can sound like a choice. They sound like, yeah, you can choose. Whereas when you say those words, many kids won't. Like parents, when you go, could you get ready for school? No, I'm playing Fortnite. Could you brush your teeth? No, I don't want to. Whereas actually what you should be saying is brush your teeth. It's time for bed. Now, when I first started an autism school, I'll be honest, I found that directive language really hard to adapt to. And it took me a while to stop using words like could, would, and can, because actually they're not a choice. It's time to sit down, not could you sit down. It's time to brush your teeth. And I found that language better, like it's time. But find your own words that work for you, but make sure they're directive. And in my book, The Ultimate Guide to Home and School, Anna Tullemans, who's a parent, and you've heard me talk about Anna before. In fact, I should get her on and do a joint podcast because she's like my brain's trust and such a mentor to me. Anna in there has we put in the now, next, later visual. And with Daniel, she talked about doing real choices. So you can do your homework at 5 or 5:30. You can feed the dog at 4 or 4:15. Not, would you like to feed the dog or can you feed the dog? Like it was black and white. Now, next, later. Now you'll feed the dog. Later you'll do homework. She just found that language work for her. But you might find other language works for you. When and then, first, second, third. Some children I'd be very cautious about using language like first, second, third, just because some of my kids are quite obsessed with numbers and everything being first and wanting to be first. Some children love number and you can use it as a positive. But like I always say, not every strategy works for everybody. Some of you might actually have kids who handle literalness really well and understand. I tend to find it's probably because their parents have taught them that, or they've been in an environment where there's been lots of plan Bs and talking about that. Most of the young adults I know with ASD who are really good at this have had a lot of years of practice. But the books I've found the most fantastic over the years, and Anna put me on to one of them, is What Did You Say, What Did You Mean? And it's a brilliant book. So like if kids say, I had a ball on the weekend, they don't mean they had a physical ball. They meant they had fun. And what Anna used to do for Daniel is just have that on the coffee table and pick it up and flick through a couple. And it would be like, wow, for him. That's amazing. And there's another new one called It's Raining Cats and Dogs. Now, you can do these as the whole class anyway, because understanding metaphors and so forth is part of English. But I find these invaluable because so many of my kids, it's like the biggest light bulb moment. Oh, that's what you mean. And I actually think it'd be worth talking to them about the Your Words Matter and printing that out and going through them and seeing if the children actually know, like cover up the try and ask them, when a teacher says no yelling, be quiet, what do they mean? When someone says what's wrong, what should your response be? Just like I did that with you. So I really, really encourage you this week to really focus on telling the child what you want them to do rather than focusing on what you don't want them to do, and see how they go. So if they're running to the bathroom or playing with the taps, rather than saying no, say first toilet, then wash hands. So just try some of those. Now toilet, then tap. Try some of those words. I really hope that you start to realise how confusing we can be for children who have mind blindness and literal. And, write out your own Your Words Matter for the child and yourself. So teachers, I'd love you to try it with the whole class. You might be surprised how many kids have no idea what your inferred meaning is. So when you say, look how nicely Tam's sitting up, the ASD kid just looks and goes, yep, he's sitting up nicely. Or I love one, I had a teacher once show the class a boy's handwriting and held up, look at Nathan's work. And one of my little boys, Stuart, went, no, it's terrible. There's a mistake. There's a mistake. Because the teacher had told him to look, which he did, and then he gave some feedback, which was actually right, but the teacher was trying to praise Nathan, and Stuart then picked up all the issues because that's what he perceived he needed to do. So good luck with that. Don't forget, to share this episode with your friends and family and colleagues. Please subscribe, because not all of the podcasts I let you know when they're out through email. Some of them I put up each week, particularly during the school holidays. I try not to send out too many emails. So I highly recommend you subscribe so that weekly you get a reminder that the new episode's out. Thanks again, guys, and enjoy. I hope you've got some great tips and strategies to make a difference. Remember, strategies wear out, and not every strategy works for everybody. If you're ready to dive in deeper to more strategies and ideas to make a difference, I'd highly recommend you consider Dr. Tony Attwood or my online courses. For more information, visit my website www.sulaki.com.au.